I've seen a lot of Tory MPs looking clueless. But not many moments top this. Chris Philp is the policing minister, and he was asked this question about the Rwanda plan on Question Time.
What's his name, Chris?
This is Chris, yes.
Yeah, Chris.
Philp.
I come from a neighbouring country called Congo, if you know geographically, that it's located right next door to Rwanda. And right now in Goma, there's a genocide going on, and there's such a big conflict going on with people from Rwanda. So had my family members come from Goma on a crossing right now, would they then be sent back to the country that they're supposedly warring, Rwanda? Does that make any sense to you?
No, I think there's an exclusion on people from Rwanda being sent to Rwanda.
They're not from Rwanda, they're from Congo.
They're from Congo.
And they're supposedly
Correct.
warring these people from Rwanda. Are they then going to be sent to Rwanda if they came here on a crossing?
From
Congo? Yeah.
Would people be sent from... Well, I mean, Rwanda is a different country of Congo, isn't it? It's a different country.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. So he's saying if they come from a war zone in Congo, would they then be sent to Rwanda? That's the point he's making.
So there is a clause in the legislation that says if somebody would suffer, I think the phrase is serious and irreversible harm by being sent somewhere, they wouldn't be sent. So there is that safety mechanism built into the legislation.
You know, sometimes I think it's jarring when sort of a politician is caught out on sort of a gap in factual knowledge. You know, being a politician is not doing a pub quiz. You know, so when someone says, "Do you know the capital city of this country? Do you know precisely how many police officers there are in this city?" You know, sort of things like that. You think, well, maybe this isn't how we should do politics. But knowing that Congo and Rwanda are different countries, that's pretty basic. Especially as the questioner said, "I'm from Congo, a country which neighbours Rwanda." And then the guy says, "Oh, Congo and Rwanda, different countries?" And you could see from the reaction of the audience and the reaction of the panel that no one was like, you know, that was bizarre. Aaron, what did you make of that clip from Question Time?
Oh, it's an indictment on the British education system, isn't it? Christ. My dad, as I love to say, let me do my Sadiq Khan impression, Michael. My dad's a taxi driver. He's an Iranian taxi driver. And he knows loads of taxi drivers, Turks, Afghans, Iranians. None of these people have a degree, or very few of them have a degree. They all know that Congo and Rwanda aren't the same country. Partly because Rwanda, of course, was in the news for all the wrong reasons in the 1990s. Also, the Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly Zaire, is a huge country. You know, it's a huge country. I mean, Kinshasa is going to be one of the world's largest cities in a couple of decades. Congo's population is going to be enormous. I mean, it's a geographically massive country as well. If you have a political class that doesn't know the difference between Rwanda and Congo, a country which is really going to be very important in terms of resources, in terms of demographic growth, in terms of geopolitics, you're in trouble. I suspect most Chinese politicians of a rank broadly commensurate with Chris Phipps would know the difference. I think most French, German, Italian, I mean, I could be completely wrong, Michael. Most Russian politicians. It says definitely not most American politicians. And so the fact that Chris Phipp is more closely aligned to his US counterparts than the rest of the world is worrying. I always find him quite amusing as a character because he looks like Patrick Bateman. So maybe Chris Phipps has been spending too much time on his morning skincare routine and his stomach crunches than his geography. I agree that, look, general knowledge is not a prerequisite to being a good legislator. Of course, it's not. I mean, it might help, but it's not a prerequisite. But this is utterly ridiculous. You know, there could be a reshuffle and the gentleman's working for the Foreign Office or an international aid. Of course, they're both in the same department now. Or he could be working with the MOD. You need to know this stuff. Absolutely astonishing. But sadly, Michael, that is the caliber of many, many MPs. The caliber of MPs amongst the Tory benches is very low. A lot of Labour MPs aren't that much better. I mean, they would get that right, okay? But they're not great. We're not sending our best people, Michael, as somebody famously said across the water in the US.
Now, I like your answer because alongside the question from the audience member on Question Time, you allow me to draw a distinction between knowledge which it's sort of useful to remember and knowledge which it's not. So knowledge which is useful to remember is that Rwanda and Congo are different countries and they're next to each other. Knowledge which it's not so useful to remember is Chris Philp's name. So the audience member on Question Time said, "What's that guy's name? Chris?" And you've been calling him Chris Phipps all section. But I don't think that's a problem. I don't think Chris Philps really deserves to have his name remembered properly if he can't even do the duty of remembering two large country, well, Rwanda is very small, but one large country, one very famous country in Africa.